AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
Hi, welcome to the AI in Action podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Kelly. Today I'm delighted to have on the show Nabil Alsabah. Nabil is the head of Artificial Intelligence and Big Data.AI Summit at Bitkom. Welcome to the show, Nabil. It's good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, great to be here.
Good. So I suppose, Nabil, for myself, I know who Bitkom are. I was at your summit last year, Big Data.AI. I thought it was a really good event. But I suppose for those listeners who might not know who Bitkom are, what do you guys do?
So Bitkom is the digital association in Germany. So we represent companies working in the digital sector. That includes, of course, vendors, manufacturers of IT solutions, but it also includes companies that use those applications. So we have, for example, health companies, we have car manufacturers, we have banks, because today digitization is becoming ever more important for every sector of the industry, and we are not a traditional association that represents certain groups, certain companies, but rather we represent a topic, and the topic is digitization.
Okay, very popular topic to be involving yourself in, particularly these days around data. It's trendy, and it's been trending for quite some time. But so something that you're very passionate about, and you've spoken about it to me, is you want to, I suppose, increase public awareness of AI. What's the reality of it? I mean, we're living in an age where I suppose the fear of AI is more so common than people saying, AI is going to change lives, it's going to give doctors more time, it's going to help the blind people see again. People are like, this AI is going to take away the lower skilled jobs.
Right.
Which isn't even true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sure. I think our public debate is very much inspired, but in a negative way, by horror scenarios and Hollywood movies, and just by bad science fiction, unrealistic science fiction. And if you look at not only the status quo of AI, but also about the potential of AI, we are so much far away from any of these scenarios coming true. I mean, as I mentioned before, I studied also psychology and got to study how the human mind works and how complex it is, and I got to appreciate even more how difficult it is to replicate things like complex motivation or complex cognitive processes or emotions. And this is this dichotomy. Like you have on the one hand AI in the popular imagination, the Terminator, the Matrix, and Black Mirror, and so on. And on the other hand, you have real AI, that is Siri, that is Google, that is your map application.
If you could, how would you like to see the public get this awareness of data science? Like, I think what they see and what they hear is we'll have autonomous taxis. They're going to get rid of taxi drivers. But what they don't see is the amount of people actually going in to create this software to understand and be part of these businesses that are even looking to build autonomous taxis.
Exactly. I mean, this is a very good example. As you said, the one argument would be you need all those people who would be working on, developing those applications, developing the products, the hardware, and the software. The other aspect is related to the limitations I mean, it's on paper, it's very a very simple concept. You have autonomous driving, autonomous cars. We see them in movies, so we can somehow imagine how they operate. But in reality, it's very difficult. Honestly, I don't see autonomous driving coming to our cities anytime soon, because it is so complex for a machine to recognize all the people moving around, the obstacles, the objects, and of course they would be operating in an environment where you also have irrational human drivers, right? So there's also the psychological aspect that they would have to cope with, and I mean, not only me not seeing it, it's just because one of the great things about working at Bitkom is you're talking with experts in the industry every single day, and they would tell you, okay, it's just not happening anytime soon.
Yeah, no, and it's actually, from doing these podcasts and speaking and meeting with so many people, like I've kind of come to my conclusion is that the best way to probably get autonomous driving would be you take all the man-driven vehicles out of the city overnight and replace them with autonomous vehicles, because they, like as you said, humans are irrational. Things happen, they go through a red light. As much as a car can prepare for that, it's still impossible,
But don't you think you would have to take humans out of cities as well? Because you would be operating also in a very human environment. Like people also, walking around.
Pedestrians
so it's just very difficult. I mean, an area where you would have autonomous driving is, for example, on driveways where it's only cars and you don't have any obstacles, and the path has been predefined, pre-tested, and this is an area where you might see autonomous driving.
Yeah.
For example, if you've been to Düsseldorf airport, they have also a kind of autonomous train that would take you from one terminal to the other, but it's not like driving in a city.
I think there was one, and it goes completely with the irrationality of humans. So I'm due to do a podcast with them, but there's a company called Cleanroid, and they're solving the solution that shared vehicles, the biggest challenge with them is that they're always messy. So they use a computer vision application to have a look at the car and check for mess, clean up the mess before the next person uses it.
Right.
So in their testing phase, they let someone go into the car and they said, great, leave a mess. And let's see if our computer can fix it.
Oh, that's interesting.
First thing they done, took tissue, put it in the ventilation.
Yeah.
The car couldn't tell that there was a mess, because that's not the mess people tend to leave.
Yeah, sure.
It tends to be a spill. It tends to be tissue or folders on sheets of paper on the floor.
Yeah.
People don't jam pens and paper into the air vent, but this time they did. But again, it's the irrational behavior that the machine can't prepare for.
Yeah, and it's one of the things about one of the things you learn when you program is that you start to appreciate what a machine is. Like you have really to basically either to train the machine or to tell the machine everything. Like a machine wouldn't be able to just to make conclusions based on observations, which is one of the most important features of human intelligence. So I think it's very easy for us to forget how extraordinary some of the things we do are and how difficult it is to replicate them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that kind of takes us semi onto our next point we wanted to mention. We wanted to talk about, smarter living, how it was going to change the world very quickly. And it's kind of like autonomous driving, everyone was all for it. It was happening really fast, and then it's kind of slowed down.
Right.
I mean, we're at a stage now where you can boil your kettle, heat your water, order milk from your fridge at home. What's the capabilities of smarter homes? How far can it go?
Yeah.
What do you think the potential is?
So I was giving a talk recently at one of the exhibitions for smart living products, and they were showing different companies showing their flagship products, and I was so disappointed by what I saw, because you have something called a smart washing machine, and it would just send you SMS when it finished washing. It's just okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Nice.
Is that not what a teenager could do?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Or you could start. You could start the washing process from your smartphone, but you still. I mean, you would have to go there, and you have to put your clothes in, and just. And then, so you go there, you put your clothes in, then you go back to your couch, and then you press on the button on your iPhone instead of wow, yeah, exactly. This is what they call smart. So I think it's not as impressive as, again, what science fiction books, movies might lead you to believe.
Now, I was told, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I was meeting this company, that they were going to introduce this product that's going to hook your whole home system together. They're going to have a fridge that's going to be able to use computer vision to read all your products, and then it's going to tell you if your products are nearly empty. You know, oh, we've got a milk carton here.
Yeah.
It's the only milk carton in the fridge. Oh, but we can see where it's based on the fridge, the weight of it. We're able to guess with a high percentage of correctness that this milk is nearly finished.
Okay.
You should pick up milk on the way home without you having to go to the fridge.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I think so. You have also very interesting things happening, especially here when it comes to smart.
I haven't seen it happen. I was told that's what they were doing.
What they're doing. Yeah, that's the thing.
I still haven't seen it come to reality.
The interesting thing would be if they would combine such a working system, not only concept but really the implementation of that concept with a link to to the local store or to Amazon or what have you, and then the way they would order the milk for you, so they would just
I mean, if it comes to your presses, your drawers, it can determine what your most used items are,
right?
And then if you're picking up based on your calendar, you're too busy to do a shopping this week, here's your 20 top most common items you purchase. Here's your shopping list. Comes to your door when you come in from work.
Yeah, exactly. So this would be really a great thing, and but it's not like, again, it's not like the science fiction visions of smart living, smart home. Maybe one of the areas that are interesting is controlling your lamps with using the app or using your voice. It's also interesting, but it's just maybe it's a sign of laziness, human laziness. Like, come on, dude, get off of the couch and press that button, right?
I know, but I mean, look, when I'm going to be doing and when I'm designing my own home, hopefully very soon, I'm going to go for that, and it's the real reason that I'm telling everyone I work with technology. I do all these things every day. I want to be able to show them that I'm learning about these things. I want to be able to control my lights. I'm like, watch everyone. I'm going to turn the lights up now through my phone, and I think that's going to be kind of more of a novelty aspect. Almost.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not actually any real benefit to me.
Right.
It's not gonna change my life.
No,
not yet.
But you have some home assistants that are really interesting. So I personally don't have a home assistant. I don't have Alexa or Google or anything.
I have Alexa, and it's a glorified speaker in my house, unfortunately. So I don't have it hooked up to anything.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Did you like it? Did you like it?
I love it. I love it because the only things I would use it for is hands-free calling my friends when I'm cooking.
Yeah, sure.
And then changing songs to different artists when I'm cooking. But I don't have it connected to anything else. Well, because I don't actually feel the need to.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
If I need to check something, I'll check myself with my hands where I can physically see it, as opposed to being verbally told it.
Yeah, sure. So I was in Kyoto in May, and I stayed at a hotel that did have Alexa in the room. This is the first time in my life I used Alexa. I found it useful. It was kind of cool. Like you're putting your clothes on, and Alexa would read the news for you, or it's just like a few things that are really cool. And so we were trashing kind of all these developments in smart home and autonomous cars and so on. But I think a lot of cool stuff will come along. I am convinced that cool stuff is going to come along in this area.
Yeah. No, look, definitely. I think there's a lot more to come in AI and data science.
But we're just at the beginning. So this is the thing. Like you have to be realistic about where we are now.
And I suppose on to the next thing we wanted to talk about, something that's very very close to you is the transparency of AI algorithms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about this. I suppose some of the stuff you mentioned is that you cannot make all neural networks transparent. Where does the supervised learning stop, and where does the unsupervised learning stop? What does this mean to you, and what makes this topic so important to you?
The topic is important not just to me, but it's important for the industry. It's important for I think to this societal discussion surrounding AI, and these are two separate aspects. So for the industry, it's important to understand how the algorithm decides, because then you can test the robustness of the algorithm. For example, we are working on a publication on this topic, and we had a few use cases. One of them is from Fujitsu, and they developed a solution for a textile factory, and they have a camera, and the camera would recognize if it's the textile, the carpet has some flaws, and depending on the flaw, the adequate measures would be taken. So in an automated environment, you would have to trust that the whole system is working the way it's supposed to work. And I think the best way to develop that trust in your system is to understand what are the decisions that have been made by this artificially intelligent system are the right decisions. So you need to understand why these decisions are being made. So this is why it's important. You have a lot of use cases from the industry where it's just about understanding whether the system is just doing what you wanted it to do, so you can trust it. And
is there any ways that you could, and look, without trying to sound silly, but almost like fast track this trust in the system, or do you have to like how much? Obviously there's a lot of testing to go into it before you want to put it into a live model.
Yeah.
But what's the goal level of trust, and how do you get there?
I think it depends. If we're talking about the industry, it depends, of course, on the application you are developing, and you have basically different methods to test the quality of the outcome. And one of those methods is to make intransparent black box AI algorithms in a way transparent. If you're talking about society, it's a whole different discussion, and it's just, you have people. This is one of the things I just get annoyed by. You have a lot of people writing articles, giving interviews, who didn't trouble themselves with understanding how AI works, and then just putting out a lot of horror scenarios and negative scenarios about this technology.
But they could be an influencer or an AI evangelist, according to their LinkedIn.
Exactly. So it is in societal context. The argument goes that we cannot trust AI if it's a black box. Like, you have a solution, an AI system, a software that would recognize your face, recognize your voice. That would give you a medical diagnosis, but it's a black box. We cannot understand how this decision came about. And I think first of all, we can understand how this algorithm works. We program the algorithm, we understand it. What we don't understand is what are the defining factors that led to this decision. So it's similar to the way the human mind works, by the way. If you see someone you would recognize that person, and you wouldn't be able to tell which rules your brain followed. Why? How did you recognize this is your boss? I mean, you cannot say, well, the
You
nose.
just know.
You just know, exactly, just know. If I say elephant, people would think of an elephant. This is a famous example. You'd think of an elephant, but you wouldn't say, okay, I know it's an elephant because the face is must be this size, and you wouldn't give a set of rules, right? You just recognize things, and this kind of black box behavior extends to a lot of areas. We are just not aware of it. For example, in medicine, a lot of medical decisions made by doctors are based on a black box decision making process, right?
Yeah.
This is the experience, this is the intuition, this is the gut feeling.
It's funny, because they're proven to be very, very successful.
Yeah, sure.
Particularly to doctors, the amount of time it's allowing or freeing up for doctors is it's basically changing their roles completely.
Yeah.
How compliant are these black boxes?
Human black boxes or machine.
So you've got a machine learning black box. It's giving you the answer.
Right.
You've a good understanding of what it does and how it gets it out, but you're not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Can you be sure that you're being compliant?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question because we have, to remind ourselves that in the vast majority of applications, understanding the factors that led to a specific decision, this understanding is not important at all. For example, if you're in Japan, as I was, and you use machine translation with your smartphone, as I did, I didn't care how my application, my machine translation application did translate the Japanese text, did recognize the Japanese characters and then translate them. I just care about the results. If I'm listening to music and then I listen, let's say, to Coldplay, and I like to for my streaming application to play Coldplay similar music, I don't care about the algorithm. I just want a good result. When it comes, if I'm watching Netflix, I also don't care about the recommendation algorithm. I just care about the results, and this applies to a whole area, a very large area of applications that you use in our everyday life. But of course, in some instances, it's important. Like as I said, in the industrial context, when it comes to quality control, it's important in some instances. When it comes to some other people people usually talk about HR software, and sometimes it is important to understand the factors. And we have, and I think this was also the original question, like the how does it work, or how reliable it is. So basically, what you do is you have algorithms that can tell you what feature was decisive for a neural network to make a certain decision. For example, if you have a simple program that recognizes apples and bananas, pictures of apples and bananas, the transparency algorithm would say to you, okay, the shape of the object is more decisive than the color of the object. So this is how these transparency algorithms work. They would tell you which factor was the most important one for the neural network to make a certain decision.
I want to finish off with something about you. When's the Big Data.AI summit?
So the next Big Data.AI Summit is on April 1st and 2nd. It's taking place in Berlin. We expect around 10,000 people to come from, last time we had from 80 countries, and I hope we can make it even more international. And so we have a lot of topics, a lot of interesting speakers.
And the good side, I can say there was someone from Ireland there. But if anyone's listening in, why should they come?
They should come because it is the best platform that I know to meet other people working in the area of data science, working also in the area of digitization in general. And you would, if you're working, for example, in, let's say, on a medical product powered by AI, and you want to meet someone working on in a totally different area, for example, data protection and AI, you can meet that person at the Big Data AI Summit. So it's just cross experts kind of event.
Look, that's all the time we have.
Yeah, thank you very much
today. Nabil, thanks for being on the show.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.